So it seems like Donald Trump is trying to either suppress history or erase it because now he wants the Smithsonian Institutes or the museums to stop talking about slavery. Slavery, one of, if not the most important parts of these United States, the history, the growth, how it became a superpower. Now he don't want anybody talking about it. And you know, it's crazy because his people ain't even from here. But let's get into this first about what he says, and then we'll go ahead and give my narrative. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's hit it.
President Trump says he has instructed his lawyers to scour through America's museums to rid them of exhibits he considers woke, specifically citing exhibits on slavery. President Trump targeted the Smithsonian museums, saying they are, quote, out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been.
So, how horrible the country is and how bad slavery was. It's funny how he put that together because basically what he's saying is because of slavery, the history of slavery, the country now is terrible, but he wants to make it a great again. Talking about going out to all the museums in the country. I went to, is that Memphis? Down there where the Martin Luther King Museum is. And they have a museum and they have an exhibit with, with slavery. And I remember walking through it, sitting there, walking through the exhibit, and dude, I felt something. Like really, I just felt something. And I mean, it was like in my soul. It was like I didn't think I was gonna feel that until I'm looking. And like nothing's being said, nothing's being read. I'm just looking at these sculptures and these statues and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, this ain't right. It was not right what they did. Now, we all have there's a debate on on how many slaves were brought over to this country from Africa, if any, because people looking at the trade winds and the ships and this and how long they had to be on the ocean and how the heck millions of anybody crossed that ocean back in them days. But we know that there were black people already here when them Europeans got over here. I mean, cause think about this: if Europeans came over here and they was free to roam around their boats and ships, eat how they want, sleep how they want, do what they wanted to on the ships, and a lot of them still died on the way here. It's kind of hard pressed to believe that you could cram hundreds, if not thousands, of human beings in the bottom of a ship and barely feeding them, if at all, for 3 months, is what they said. And then the majority of them still made it. You can't tell me business wise that was a smart business decision. It just doesn't make sense. But hey, maybe they figured a way to do it, and we just don't know how. Kind of like the pyramids, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like we made create the pyramids, and nobody really knows how they did it back in them days. But anyway, let's continue.
Back in March, the president signed an executive order directing the Smithsonian Institution, which runs more than 20 museums in Washington and elsewhere, to, quote, celebrate American exceptionalism and remove divisive or partisan narratives. Last month, the Smithsonian removed references to Trump in an exhibit on presidential impeachments in the Museum of American.
Let me see what they say. Donald Trump became the first person to be impeached twice. See that right there. If you reading what's on the screen, see that's censorship, and that's something that America's not supposed to be a part of. It's like he's going woke himself. He's allowing wokeness to be a part of the museum by getting rid of this uh picture here. But yet, if you talk about slavery, it's divisive. See, the problem is, here's the issue. What makes? Hold on, let me finish. Let me let you finish.
History. Mentions of Trump's impeachments were later restored, although with changes. Now he's complaining about exhibits on slavery, although during his first term he visited the Museum of African American History and Culture, which tells the story of slavery and celebrates African American accomplishments, and he called it a quote, truly great museum done with love. It's not clear whether President Trump actually has the authority to tell any museum, including the museums of the Smithsonian Institution, what to put on display. The American Alliance of Museums, which represents museums across the country, says that no president has the power to impose the kind of review that Trump says he is now ordering. The organization has warned that the president's actions represent a, quote, growing threat of censorship against museums in America. Mary?
Yeah, lots of questions about where this goes from here. John, thanks.
Interesting. You know what's interesting about this too? Is that he want to censor slavery, but he was upset when they was taking down all those Confederate generals down here in the South, all those statues, changing school names, saying, "Oh, we got to keep them guys. We got to keep that up because the history of America is so important." But yet, you want to get rid of slavery exhibits in museums, like I said, which is a major part of the history of this country. You're talking about 250 years at least, 150 years of Jim Crow, redlining, this, that, and the third, sharecropping. You want to get rid of that when that's the foundation of this country. But I'm gonna tell you why slavery is so divisive, as he said, or the conversation about slavery is divisive. It's because of this. It's because number one, well, it's because of the people see it different ways. We see it for what it was. We know what they've tried to teach us. We know the little movies, the miniseries, how they tried to make it seem, bad, but not horrible. And it was around, and all Negroes did was sing Negro spirituals since they, came over here off the boat and went straight to the cotton fields with no problems. You had a few of them get out of line. You had a couple of owners that might have whipped them. But other than that, slavery was just people who were owned by other people to do work. Nah, that's indentured servitude. That's what the Europeans did to each other when the country was first started. When you owed a debt and you worked that debt off on the land, and then once that debt was paid off, you were free to go. Or you can continue to work, whatever, but you had a choice. Slavery amongst our people was not indentured servitude. That was you were forced to live somewhere, forced to work from sundown to sundown with very little to eat, tattered clothes, beaten, whipped. Women and men were assaulted, sexually. This, that, and the third, and children. And there was also lives were taken, hung, made examples of whenever they did the human thing and fought back and said they weren't going to take no more. But it wasn't like they did anything. It was like our people did anything to deserve to be in that predicament as a slave. Did nothing of the sort. That was just what them folk decided for us, for whatever reason, or for wherever they got us from. That's what they decided to use us for. Period, point blank. And it was just destructive. If it wasn't so bad, then you tell me why Civil War was fought to win it. Because it was dividing the country, because you had some people with some morals who were saying this ain't right. Or you had people that were saying, hey, the South is talking about seceding from the North because they feel like we're taking all of their, no, we're benefiting from all their work. And they don't want to give up none of them coins like that. So I mean, for whatever reason, slavery had to go. So it's divisive because they want to make it, they want to whitewash it. They want to make it seem like it wasn't as bad as it was. And we know better. We tell the stories. Our ancestors and our elders tell the stories of when they grew up, of the racism. See, I think Donald Trump doesn't want it out there because he don't want the world to see. Now it's different. Think about this. It's different if you can put fear into your own Negroes, right? Because you can control the narrative, and they know that ain't really much they can do about it. So you can create stories to make it say, "Yeah, slavery was over," but don't forget, it was only a few years ago. It wasn't that long ago, not even 100 years ago. You know, you still, I mean, you barely got legal rights with the Civil Rights Act barely 50 years ago on paper. So don't think that it can't happen again. It's one thing to do that and keep it in your little circle, in your little country. But when the information age blows up and you're able, and the information is able to, has the ability to go worldwide and everybody can see exactly what the United States, the history of the United States and what it was about. Because we've heard of slavery in other countries too, right? Like with Africa, European, Spaniard countries, Indian countries, just countries that think that they are practicing slavery like right now. We see that, but we don't see as American citizens haven't really like visually seen how that slavery is being acted on. But our story, our history, we are putting it out there. And the world is able to see it because of the internet. We're able to tell a story, all the horrific stories that can be that have been told, that are still being told. Now the world can see. Now the world can see that America is hypocritical. Now the world can see, like, wait a minute, the United States has been telling us that they are like the leader of the free world and democracy and all this kind of stuff. But you mean to tell us that even after slavery was over with, they were still practicing racism? But yet they want to come over here and talk about our countries? Oh no, we can't have that. So now we can't trust the United States. We can't look at them as equal. Matter of fact, we may have to do something to separate ourselves from them, which is what it seems like a lot of countries were doing and still are doing. So when you got when you have that problem where other world leaders are trying to separate from you or not look at you in the same reverence as they have been doing over the last 50, 60, 100 years, now you got to put a stop to this negative narrative. And I think it started with George Floyd. Although George Floyd was probably doing something that he probably shouldn't have been doing legally, the world still saw the United States with the veil uncovered, and it looked ugly. And the United States did not like that and don't like it. So now they have to get that respect back. And the first thing you do is you got to stop all this negativity that's being portrayed about the country. So when they say that the country is bad and how horrible slavery was, I'm sorry, President Trump. As much as I'm glad about what you're doing when it comes to the economy and stuff, and helping this stock market go up, and my stocks and my, you know what I'm saying, and my gold, and my gold biscuits going up in price and stuff like that. Hey, you can't win it all. I gotta drink this before it get cold. I don't know if y'all can hear, but like nose running. I've been doing like that for a few days, man. But it's getting better. So got a little concoction I've been drinking. It's working though. I mean, nose run like a sun gun, blow my nose all day. But anyway, let me get to my point. So even though he want to get rid of all his information in the Smithsonian, I mean, do what you need to do. Because you know why? I'm not concerned about it. Number one, I haven't been to the Smithsonian museum. And then, like I said, I did go to the one in Memphis, and I remember seeing it. But when I looked up how many people have visited the African American Museum, part of the Smithsonian, it's like 1.3 million people, last year. which is quite a bit. Probably not a lot, which is quite a bit. Which I mean, probably more. Once they clean up Washington D.C., you might have more people going to visit. I'm quite sure there's no advertising for anybody to go see the African American Museum just due to that, But anyway, here's my thing: if you want to combat that, because I know we got people want to protest and say Donald Trump is trying to erase Black history. He'll never do that. He can't do anything like that unless you allow him to. And how do you allow him to? Is by what you are not doing. If you are not learning history, teaching your children history, making sure that all the little Black kids, Black American children, FBAs, financial Black American children, are learning history. If you are not talking to the elders, the griots of your family, of your community, and have them telling you how they grew up, stories they heard, things they saw, pass it down to you, pass it down to your kids, and it keeps getting passed down. If you stop that, that's how Donald Trump and the folk win. That's how they can erase history. And then that's how they can allow slavery to come back in the next few generations. I know in previous videos, I've told y'all how it's possible that slavery can come back. You got people that say it's impossible. These youngers won't let it happen. Trust me. If they want it to happen, they can make it happen, but it wouldn't be instantaneous. Because if they try to do it like right now, the whole world will come out to the United States and just destroy it. But if they could do it slowly, it would take generations for it to happen. But it can happen. But the way to stop it from happening, you have to get out there and read the history. Forget the Smithsonian. Go buy you some books. Like I said, see, I keep books. You know what I'm saying? I keep reading. Let's see. Got this. Let's pick a book like The Slaves War. You know what I'm saying? This is Civil Wars, narratives by slaves told about what they went through in the Civil War. Like, and then you have Slavery by Another Name, which says re-enslavement of Black Americans from Civil War to World War II. I mean, these are just, like I say, it's the information is out there. You have to get on that internet, go to whatever website you go to buy books and purchase them and read them and have your kids read them. Have them read them out loud to them. Have them give you a book report. Have them explain to you what they read, what it meant, the understanding they got out of it. That's how you keep that information alive. So when things like this happen, you can say, "Hey, I see what's going on. I see what's going on," because that's how it happened back then. This is how these world leaders. This how things went bad for a certain group of people back then. They started here, and it started small, and it took a while for it to get to that point, but it happened. You have to do it, not digital books, not books, not books you can hear. Talking about tangible books that that you have in your hand. That if need be, you can wrap them up, box them up, bury them in the backyard somewhere, hide them, have them hidden somewhere. That way, if you're afraid that something that they're gonna come and try to burn them or take them, you do stuff like that. Just so that way it can live on. Yeah, you can put it on the cloud, you can put it on the internet, and that's great. Put them on flash drives if need be to hide them like that. But think of the movie, The Book of Eli. If you haven't seen that movie, watch that movie. It's kind of about what I'm talking about. You had one book that Eli read. It was the last of that book in print, and he had to get it to a certain place, to a printing press, really, so they could print more and get it out there because it's like the most important book in the world. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, go see it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. That's how you got to look at your history. And no matter what happens, because the internet can go down any day. I mean, hell, I can make this video right now, and tomorrow the internet can be wiped out, but I still got my books. You know what I'm saying? Kindle can go down, and now you're not listening. You're not, say, oh, whatever. Well, what's the audio book site? I don't know. That could go down. All that stuff, internet can go down, and you can't read a book on your phone, and you can't listen to a book on your way to work or to school. So what you gonna do? You can always read. And that's what you gotta do. So like I said, so I ain't tripping on Donald Trump, man. If you want to take away the Smithsonian now, I'm not saying just let him just do what he want to do. You always fight to make sure that history is preserved, every aspect of it. Like I say, hell, if you don't want, if he try to fight hard to keep these Confederate generals' names on these schools and their statues up all over the country, then shoot, we need to fight hard to keep our history alive. Simple as that. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you maybe a couple of minutes out your day, but it means the world does here. But with that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.